I didn't want to go too fast. One more day we. Where is the Jinapo story I was showing you? Samuel Abu Jinapo, this guy, today he's saying, the NDC gold board concept needs clarification. Samuel Abu Jinapo. Or not Samuel Abu Jinapo, Sika Weria at the land ministry. Samuel Abu Jinapo commissioned a refinery. We cannot see the refinery today. Mumbusan said, where is the refinery? He has the guts to come and talk about, the gold board. It needs clarification. Ghana na yejimintra and cause Samuel Abu Jinapo that jail. Let me tell you, Samuel, I have a message for you. You see that businessman during the election, you went to give that businessman $10,000 to give to me to stop talking about Damango, your seat that you were beating people to win. That $10,000 is still with the businessman. That businessman is our mutual friend. Go to him tomorrow and say, Kevin Taylor said 10,000 wanji. The $10,000. I would my businessman say on famamino. Go to the businessman and tell him. Sir Kevin Taylor has said on his show that he didn't take the $10,000 because I cannot be bribed. Okay? Samuel Abu Jinapo during the elections, chaos na koso Damango no. NDC for no almost sorry na they were protesting no. NDC nia oye Samuel Abu Jinapo damfo oni ne ko tua sika ema sa NDC for no eja ide na omoye no. Yes. Samuel Abu Jinapo, you want to bribe me with $10,000? Macho, me say our mutual friend who is a businessman, the $10,000 you gave him is still with him. So go and take the money and come on social media and tell the world that he didn't give $10,000 to that businessman. And there are some people in the NDC, you think we don't know what you people are doing? Tell me, Samuel Abu Jinapo, a boat to Damango, election or losing elections. And your NDC ni and a call Damango or Tua Chicago Damango say NDC for ninja ding. Now Samuel Abu Jinapo fem. Maybe they may come there, may say $10,000 now. Or come a businessman. Kono watch na friend and say, did you speak to Kevin about the money? Yes, he spoke to me about the money. Or catch them and say, what the $10,000 I be just on for me till date? On I don't need it. You think you can bribe me with $10,000? I'll come back to this matter. I'm giving you 48 hours. You yourself come out and deny this matter. Now, and teach you the so-called middle class people. You see, when you go to school a little bit, it does not make you. It should not. Let me say that way. It should not make you stupid. The reason why people listen to us and then they say, "Sami papa bi aname ma mi bi ti baby tie mi a," and chese me nim nyansa che no, e chese say na adwini mu no, Kevin I consider me. Edi ebu ama me. Akohwehwe nsem a sebio me a mete ayodun me nsanka e na odi anidi ama me na obekirikiri ma kire me. Enti saa nipa ni ebuo e na ama me. Enti o se me di ebuo e ma saa nipa na ohwe me no. Enti se me di atem krampo na I make sure say adikudienti a me ma me bia wedi 65 ehwe me no. Saa ade no me di ama no, which is the truth. And intina till date, nobody can sit on any platform to say Kevin Bois, and I have one document to do what? Tell the world to say he lied. Nobody, and nobody can do that. You can just insinuate, oh, I can't say me or Bois, but you cannot counter it with fact, because I understand the game I am in, and the game I am in, no, the code is what? Fact checking. The code is credibility. I understand it. Now, when it comes to governance, about governance, we are always supposed to understand the say decisions they be taken in there. No, sad decisions nana in the future it will take effect. Near to Kromha, and we all discussed how Ghana is going to move forward. Now, this is City News. This is a gentleman called Bernard Avle on in a group. City News and pay. Right now we are having the economic dialogue, which is we are trying to have a dialogue nationwide. Obianfa na adwene brane en hwesenia MPP si bi o masai man na kodu no ye betumi atoto ye sikasem president akasa finance minister akasa impenifo atitire omunim economics ni nyomanyema obi a kire na adwene Now, sorry, no pa. The we and say Bernard Avle and the group of boys on City TV say the challenge, and I quote, the challenge we face is that we don't have a long-term vision for anything. And this statement is from Bernard Avle and his group of panelists. Now, me who statement we know, and I'm going to say, are we serious as a people? Because as journalists, we are supposed to be abreast of the issues, and we have to basically ask ourselves questions, research, before we go out there and spill nonsense. Now, let's listen to Bernard Avle and his group.
And this government has a bounce. People like this government. They are new. They are fresh. So everybody wants to come. Everybody wants to show that they are in support. So everybody came, right? People who are not invited came. They wanted to be given a chance to talk. So there's a bit of a spring in the step. Bankers, finance people, like everybody wants to do something. So the president has goodwill, which he has to use well. You know. So I hope like it's not window dressing. So which is why it's good for his ministers to come and sit down and actually listen. You know, one of the things that have worried us is that politicians assume that because they are in office they know everything. But a lot of people in and of course politicians they have their role. They are combining and solving different problems. But I feel like there are so many people who want to give you the experience for free, who are sharing their views, particularly in the macroeconomic stability room. If I'm the Minister of Finance and the BOG boss, I'll sit down with a pen and just write. Because you may not get all these people in the room at the same time. I mean, if you have Nico Akusoa, Polakwa, you have everybody. You know, these are heavyweights of macroeconomics. So listen to them for all it's worth. Fine, you have some new ideas. There's new realities in the economy. So it's not everything old that is good, but you need that judgment. So I think it was a really good time. This is my point. The challenge we face is that we don't have long-term vision for anything.
The statement was clear. Bernard Avle, I think he was the moderator for the event. Also, nipa bebrebe share ono krampo de hu ni say nka this finance minister kasa. Eni say nka omo de omo international no taking notes. The finance minister has to let people know. He needs to let the world know. The people sitting there, the status, Ghana economic status, he needs to let them know. The government invited Ghanaians to let Ghanaians know what is actually happening. So why should the finance minister, who is the head of Yesikasem, to sit the Bank of Ghana governor, why are they supposed to take the back seat and take notes? They are supposed to let the people know that this is what we came to meet. That is why we need your ideas to find a way to maneuver, to find a way to get out of this mess. So when the finance minister comes and sits down, take a notebook and start writing. Bank of Ghana governor comes, sits down, take a notebook, start writing. They all know the problems they have inherited. Then these people who are also so-called experts, what are they going to base their statements on? What are they going to use to make their point? Because something should be said, a problem should be spoken about before we can find a solution to that problem. It is for Bernard Betina TV, so can say, any senka finance minister kasa, any senka Bank of Ghana governor kasa, or senka ministers literally no more church. Now, I invite you, no, dear no more beka. Because there should be something sitting on the table for us to discuss. Now, the part that worries me, and I say journalism in Ghana is becoming so weak every single day. And yes, we are not supposed to speak every day. Let it go. But some of the radio I know you people want people to think say and that everybody is stupid. Now let me take you back a little bit. Or see, the challenge we face is that we don't have a long-term vision for anything. It is a lie. Bernard Avle is a liar. On this particular topic, he lied. Ghana has a long-term vision. It is people who we give power to derail a long-term vision. The long-term vision has been there. Under John Dramani Mahama, all the way back in 2012, he was able to put together the National Development Planning Commission. And what was it about? It was a 40-year plan. The 40-year plan, what was it going to do? It was to guide this country, how we were going to build economically, socially, how we were going to set our country up. It involved everything. 40 years. Nanado Dankweku for the MPP for power. The 40-year plan. So for you to sit as a journalist, without doing any of your research, you say, as a nation, we don't have a vision. We don't have a long-term plan. We have. That is why during the debate between Akufo-Addo and John Mahama, he took his time to let Ghanaians understand why it is important for us to have a 40-year plan, the National Development Planning Commission, so that we can basically plan this country in a way that the next 40 years, yen to me and fall into the traps we are falling in. There has always been a plan. The National Development Planning Commission, it is sitting there. The plan is there. Nanado Dankwe Akufo-Addo and Kwasiafo Weba, Professor Adai Mokachere said, we don't need a 40-year plan. This is John Mahama defending the NDPC.
I will go to the president and the presidential candidate of the NDC to answer the same question in 3 minutes.
Indeed, I think there's a confusion in the mind of the NPP presidential candidate in the answer he gave. That is exactly the concern we have in this country, that when political parties leave government, the plans and visions that are instituted are thrown away. And so if we assume that every 4-year cycle, a government potentially could lose elections, it means every 4 years we'll have a new National Development Planning Framework. And that is why the CRC flagged that issue. And so to say that immediately you come into office, your manifesto is going to be put, you won't wait for 2 years. We waited for the GPRS2 to run its course, because an attempt had been made to create a stakeholder participation in GPRS2. And that's why when we came into office, we were not in a hurry to throw GPRS2 away. We waited for GPRS2 to run its course before we presented the GSGDA. And so I don't see what problem the MPP presidential candidate is fixing by saying immediately I come to government, I'm not waiting for 2 years, I'm taking my manifesto, I'm putting a plan in place. That is the problem we want to cure. And making your vice president the chair of NDPC, politicizing the NDPC, I think he's absolutely lost his way. What we're saying is there's a difference between a national vision, and that is what the NDPC creates. The NDPC is supposed to create a national development planning framework, and that is the overarching framework of what as a nation we want to achieve and where we want to go. Within that national development planning framework, we can have our own political, ideological, operational plans that must fit into the national development planning framework. And so it's like turning the whole planning issue on its head. What we are doing is we're implementing the GSGDA, which was brought about as a result of wide stakeholder consultation. What we need to do is to ensure that we coordinate the planning function of the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning and the mandate that the NDPC has, in order that the NDPC and the MOFEP are working in sync rather than at cross purposes. Because the MOFEP, that's the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, is responsible for the 3-year rolling plan, which is the MTEF, in terms of the budget cycle. And so what we are doing currently, we're not waiting to come into power to do. What we're doing currently is synchronizing the MTEF and the National Development Planning Framework, which is the Ghana Shared Growth and Development Agenda. And if we do that, we'll find that there will be no conflict between MOFEP and NDPC, and we'll make much quicker progress than we have done in the past.
A follow-up to that, and then I'll give Nanado an opportunity to do a rebuttal. He's indicated he wants to do a rebuttal. The Constitution Review Commission recommended that the plans of the NDPC be entrenched and be binding on successive governments. But your government, never mind who was your predecessor president, disagreed with that. In the light of what you say, is that something you want to revisit?
The NDPC is a constitutional body mandated by the Constitution to perform a certain mandate. And all parties respect the Constitution. And so the provision that sets up the NDPC is a provision that we all respect. And so our point is that after that plan has been produced using broad stakeholder consultation, it would be excessive to constitutionalize the plan. Because if it's a 5-year rolling plan, it means every 5 years you amend the Constitution to incorporate the new plan. The NDPC has enough constitutional backing already.
Simple as that. And this NDPC has been sitting there, National Development Planning Commission or Commission has been sitting there. It was a 40-year plan. So why is Bernard sitting on TV? All because we are sitting on radio, we have to speak. You people need to do your research. We were supposed to insist that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and his political party stuck to the principles, because this had been put in place. If we had followed this 40-year plan, we wouldn't be here struggling again for the NDC to come and solve our economic problems. And in the first place, this forum that we are having today, the NPP that caused the problem, they have decided not to even join the discussion. So who are you supposed to blame? You are not supposed to blame all politicians. You are supposed to blame the people who caused the problem. Because in 2016, 17, 18, if Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the NPP had implemented this, we wouldn't be here today. We would have known in the next 10, 15 years how the governing of this country will be. Because every political party BIA, the manifesto, the policies, the ideas. But the national idea should be paramount. It needs to sink. It needs to sit inside the bigger agenda, which is the national agenda. Now, we let Akufo-Addo and the MPP throw this document away, and they said they were going to create a 10-year development plan. Where is that 10-year development plan? So for you as a journalist, sit on radio to say, we as a nation, we don't have a long-term vision. We have. You and I, we have been lazy. Especially you, Bernard Avle, you have been lazy to question the people who are supposed to make sure that the laws that the Constitution has put out there for us to force to work, we have neglected those responsibilities. We are supposed to force them. For 80 years, you as a journalist did not sit on radio and TV to insist that we start to build this nation using the National Development Plan framework. You never did that. Why, yes, sir? Into DNA radio soon like I say, we don't have a vision. John Mahama and the NDC put 40. JJ Rollins even started 2020. John Mahama mobile a 40-year plan. And we need to understand the moment you make Jai side way, you're honest with ourselves. You know, the politicians will be lying to us every day. And it's they be able to say Jimmy, because people like you will always be blaming politicians. But for some time, the politician had made this available to us. We are supposed to insist the politicians do that job. JJ started Vision 2020. John Mahama mobile the 40-year development plan by Adentina Akufo-Addo Edi really free so. Professor Adai and the likes, those political insects, they came and said 40-year development plan is too long. Professor Adai 8 months no kwasi ampanyi we aka 7 months no. This man just came in with his stupid tribal bigotry to come and tell us to change a 40-year plan to a 10-year plan. You did 8 years since the Akufo-Addo mobile power, 9th year ni 10-year development plan away. So we are not supposed to be that childish. We are supposed to be journalists who basically research. We should stop taking sides and trying to make people think we are neutral. We are not. We need to let the people know the truth. What I saw there is total misinformation and disinformation. Ghana has a long-term vision. We as journalists and we as Ghanaians need to insist that the politicians stick to that vision. It's a 40-year-old vision. Why are we not talking about it? Audience sank as a 40-year-old vision. Akufo-Addo kwasi ampanyi we oba na nko implement here and you stay within that vision. Do you think we'll be here today? And that is what we do with the mic. That is what we do with the radio. And you're misinforming the young ones. And then it will get into somebody's head. Hey, politicians, they don't care about Ghana for. We don't have a vision. We have a vision. Let me show you something. I don't have it here. Let me try and pull it out. Okay? The 40-year development plan. I'm trying to get you the concept, what the NDC, the concept they had, how in the next 40 years, what they wanted to do. This is what the NDC had in mind. John Mahama and the NDC government, time on the 40-year development plan we buy now. This was the kind of concept they had in mind. 40 years. They wanted us to have these things.
The Black Star Stadium is a futuristic facility that will be built under Ghana's long-term national development plan to host a major international sporting event such as the FIFA World Cup or the Olympic Games. It will be to Ghana what the Statue of Liberty is to America or the Eiffel Tower is to France. It will be an iconic tribute to Ghanaian ingenuity, vision, and hard work. The stadium's state-of-the-art features will draw from the best of the 21st century technology, engineering, and architecture. It will be eco-friendly and a powerhouse of social, economic, and sporting activities. The entire roof will be made up of solar panels to provide electricity for the stadium. Solid and liquid waste generated at the stadium will be recycled to provide additional energy. There will be 4,000 underground parking spaces equivalent to a 4-story building. The 5 points of the star will contain the following: a hotel, offices, conference facilities, entertainment facilities, recreational facilities, shops, restaurants, a world-class sports medicine and research facility, and a national sports museum. The stadium will be linked by road and rail as part of the National Rail and Highways network that will go through all 10 regional capitals. The Black Star Stadium is expected to attract millions of tourists every year from within and outside Ghana. It will provide thousands of jobs directly and indirectly to the youth of Ghana. The future of Ghana. Dream it, plan it, live it. Brought to you by the National Development Planning Commission.
This was the 40-year development plan. 2018, John Mahama making sure say before he left office, this commission was put together. This was all in the plan. We can talk about when it comes to education. This was all in the plan. But another says, well, we don't have a vision. We have. We need to insist that these politicians do it. This was the concept. This is what John Mahama and the NDC were saying. Let's have 40 years. This plan should be some of the major plans we have as a nation. Whatever we do, we should not move away from this vision. So the 40-year development plan was there. And the document is still there. The office is still there. So why are we saying as a nation we don't have a vision? We have. In fact, when it comes to transportation, this is what street concept, this is what the plan, this was what was in the plan. Was all part of it. If we have followed these things, because we would have invested a lot of money in infrastructure and our road networks, and if we had followed this 40-year plan, in Kwasiafo we about power, and one of the just a sky train. Yeah, train the free kind. Deche. But we had the nam form or the namusium no. Neku for the nam form in Kwasiafo be there so 8 years. Today we are sitting here saying we don't have a vision. We have a long-term vision. We have a plan. We should tell the people that Akufo-Addo and the MPP, they have derailed us for 8 years. Just 2024, this is what John Mahama said.
Rawlings had Vision 2020, and when President Kufuor came, 2020 was thrown out of the window, and they brought the poverty reduction strategy. Growth and Poverty Reduction Strategy, GPRS or something like that. And then when he left, Agenda for Transformation came. And then when I came, I brought the 40-year development plan. And when President Akufo-Addo came, he threw the 40-year development. He took part of it and created his Ghana Beyond Aid. And so we don't have a specific plan that we all are working to. And so I'm suggesting that we have the 40-year development plan. We can compress it into a 20-year plan with 4-year segments. And so it's 20 years, we expect to be here in 20 years. But every 4 years, this is where we must reach. Every 4 years, this is where we must reach. And all of us must sign on to the plan so that we implement it together. Whether it's Mahama in power or somebody else comes into power, they will continue their 4-year leg of it. So that it becomes like
simple as that. That's all. In Kwasiafo we buy, instead of us to hold their leg to the fire, we made these fools 8 years. Satana radio TV so and you were scared. You were using idiomatic expressions. You were using figurative speeches. You could not directly address Akufo-Addo's government. When Akufo-Addo was in power for 8 years, you Bernard Avle, now also throw books 10 because you became a lecturer, an English lecturer. You were using figurative speeches. Now, you were not being direct. You were using idiomatic expressions because all of you were cowards. You were scared. You could not tell them in their faces that these people are Nkwasiafo. They are not doing the right thing. So nobody should sit on radio or on TV to say, we don't have a long-term plan. We have it. Now let us insist. At least we have an intelligent president who is willing to implement. We all have to support the government to do it. Munjai dia no betina radio so TV so amoye no munnim nyansa nche obi awo. Obi anya akwara wo kuro ni mo. Ye nyina taxes ye de chichiri kuro no. Enti mo betina radio so na buti na fufufu na munyi muti no. E betina say because you are timid, you people are timid, you are people we have to respect. Timidity and so you are smart. You people have to speak like men. Be men and speak on the issues. Bogus, mommy and enim.